Today's car in review is the Dongfeng T5 Evo Forthing. This car also comes to Europe, Germany, Czech Republic. In Italy it is called Ceroli 5, that is, many Chinese cars have other names in other regions, so sometimes it is worth Googling before looking at how popular this car is. What's interesting, this car was designed by European designers, so you can see the outline here. Someone says Porsche Cayenne, Macung, in general, it has the emblem of a tiger, which means self-confidence, fearlessness and bravery. That's what I read on a Chinese website that had a review of this car. You can even then notice that there's a double-decker optic here, and the optics, you can so imagine that these are eyes and these are fangs. You can think of it like it's the mouth of such a grinning lion. Here's what's interesting. The front grille, already installed here, is a mesh, which helps very well, because in modern cars very often make large radiator holes on the grille and fly here stones and can damage the radiator. Also from such nuances, which are known, that here stand close parktronics to the license plate frame, so you have to bend the frame a little bit. There's also an interesting thing here. There's a latch like this here. You can't always find it. This is where the towing hook is. This is where you pry it up and pull it out. We've got a lip here too, made of wear-resistant plastic. Also 19 wheels. We've got plastic everywhere. As far as I can see, it's all covered with dust covers underneath. It's all filled with rust proofing because Chinese cars complain a bit about corrosion. Here, so the car is fully treated. The tires we have here are Atlas 235 by 55 or 19. Cameras all around the car in the mirrors, front, rear. Also not visible here, but there is such a light here that shows the BSM monitor, which is the blind spot monitor. The light comes on when you're sitting, you can see if the car is in a blind spot. Keyless access to the driver's door. Also there you can see here is the key. There is an option, if you take out the plug, you can open with the key if, say, the monitor goes off. Also, what is interesting, such a sealing rubber is completely sealed, that is, the threshold will always be clean. The film is already glued on, which, in principle, is very correct. The passenger window here is tinted. Also rubber bands, everything is very compacted, everything is competent. In this respect a 5. The felt protection is in the wheel arch. Here we are. At the back, we have a monobrow which glows in the dark. Again for exhaust pipes. Wear-resistant plastic. Also good. Rear view camera. Let's open the trunk. Electric actuators. You can't see the pinch sensors here. You can see it some other way, but they detect it. There's an emergency trunk opening. That is, you can open from the cabin, you can open the trunk, if suddenly for some reason it does not open. Wheel cavity. Here we have a towing hook for removing wheel caps. A wrench like this. The jack. There's a roll cage. Quite an opportunity to use a curtain like this. The lights, basically, it's all neat and tidy. Although with this kind of tinting, I think there's not even much point in using this curtain. Let's have a look inside. We've got the interior somewhere. It's mostly plastic, somewhere under carbon fiber. Soft red stitching. There are 6 speakers. Armrest with cup holders. There's also an option here, look, a flap that snaps into place. What's that for? That is, when you fully open the seat in order to put something, it often happens that they do not interfere. So you can take them out and put them back in just as easily. And snap this flap on. Panoramic roof. There are also realized lights, airbags all around the perimeter. Here are made seats from wear-resistant plastic, that is, if the child's legs can quite dangle, and here nothing will obviously remain. Belt height adjustments. Another hook. There are plenty of hooks here, you can hang anything. Hooks, as I understand it, are for bags. That is, you put it on the bag, so that it does not scatter all over the cabin. Also, the rear passenger has a USB charger. There is a shelf where you can put your phone. Air ducts. Well, and as there is no rear drive, there is no tunnel here too. Therefore, there is some plus from absence of a rear drive. As for the suspension, we have McPherson at the front, Multilink at the back. Basically a classic. Next, the passenger seat here has mechanical adjustment. Side airbags. Quite a spacious glove compartment. Another key. We've got a charging station here. There is another 12-volt socket. This niche is quite handy. The dashboard is soft, as everyone likes. Here we have carbon fiber inserts. By the way, it will be visible here at night, there is such backlighting. By the way, this car does not spoil with backlights. That is, you will not see such multicolored disco lights all over the interior. Maximum here. Interesting feature. This is not a coin box. It's a phone holder. So you put the mount in there, you fix the phone. And so that, since the air ducts are made here in such an interesting shape, you can't insert a phone holder on the air duct. That's why we have provided here such a pochette. Emergency button. Again, it is convenient that the buttons of air conditioner adjustment are separated. That is, they are physical and therefore temperature and fan can be changed in motion. Another recharging. Such a box is taken out to clean dust such a mat. Cup holders with key recharging. Electric handbrake, mode change on the move. Sport. Eco normal. Downhill assist. Such an interesting glove compartment. Eyewash. Curtain control, sunroof control. Basically everything as usual. The design of the car attracts attention. When you're on the road, everyone pays attention. In principle, so impetuous. We will talk more about the engine and a box. The roof, as we can see, is black. Driver's door, power window adjustment, everything as usual. Next we have here an electric seat adjustment, a lumbar roll. In some models, there is also a massager. Here is a duffel box, mirror adjustment, trunk opening, stabilization system off. Let's start the car. Of the interesting things that caught me is this monochrome panel. It of course looks again laconic. In general, in principle, the design is quite laconic, especially inside. That is, from the outside it is quite bright, but from the inside it is quite laconic. So, in principle, of course, you would like it to be more cheerful, but again, it's a matter of taste. 2 monitors. Here we have multimedia connection, Bluetooth. Carbling is for connecting a phone when it is connected via USB cable. Settings, backlights, sound, adjustment, in principle, the minimum settings are all there. Adjusting the brightness of the screen, the ability to turn off the whole screen. Next we have. Right, we've got air conditioning. Air conditioning adjustments both possibly from the screen and possibly from the physical panel. What I liked about this screen is the matte surface of the screen. So it doesn't glare, so you're actually driving and you can't see yourself. It often happens in cars, you drive and actually the monitor acts as a mirror. That is, you see yourself, all the glare, if the sun is at an angle, it is very unpleasant. Here is matte glass, so it is quite pleasant to drive here, that is, it does not glare. Let's have a look under the hood. The hood on the gas elevators. It's all treated with anticore, which is basically a good thing. The engine here is a Mitsubishi 4A95 TD. Guitar box. This box, as far as I understand, is quite famous. That is, it is put on many cars. 7-speed robot. Basically, when I was driving around, no nuances, that is, I was driving day and night, daytime driving, I did not notice any big nuances. The box shifts smoothly, despite the fact that the engine is 1.5 turbo, 195 horses, although it is a lot, the box copes quite well. Basically, I didn't notice any nuances. What else is interesting? As a mechanic, I worked as a mechanic for a long time. I wonder what are the sensors on the motor, that is, what is used. Often there are some obscure Chinese companies, maybe even well-known companies, but I do not know about it. Here, Bosch throttle valve. The control unit, now let's see, you can see. Also Bosch. That is, in principle, the main sensors are used European well-known manufacturers, which is very pleasing. Everything is treated with anticore with a large reserve. And, what is interesting, here it is treated with such transparent. That is not poured all in black. It happens when the black color is completely black, as if it is canned. It's more for burial, how can I say it? Interesting thing, in order to refill the washer fluid, you have to lift this shoulder here, and the washer fluid only opens here. Here we have antifreeze, here we have washer fluid. Of course, I would like it to be more simple, but you know, it's not too complicated, I think. But you have to know when operating this car, or you may encounter some issues. Here. This is the car. We're going to drive it around town now. Illuminates the road at night. Now let's see how the car drives, so to speak, live. Basically, that for all time, and I drive this car for a day, what I felt, and what I had, what interesting conclusions. 1.5 turbo, well, turbo of course it is, after all, it is certainly good. The 1.5 is just embarrassing, but the turbo evens things out. Lack of power, I certainly do not like to race, but the lack of power I did not feel. The car drives quite confidently in a stream, steers quite well, a big clearance that I love, because curb disease, it is so, all bumpers there, all this is scratched. It's very comfortable to sit in. Of course, I would like ventilation of seats, it is present in some versions of this car. Air conditioner adjustment manually, because when you drive, you look at the road, it is also a very convenient thing. And so very pleasant, that is, the car leaves a pleasant feeling as the car passes sleeping policemen, because when you drive on. There are a lot of sleepers in the city, and on a parklet you don't always want to slow down so much to pass them. Quite well, now we will go further, there will be a sleeper, it goes quite well, confidently, I don't feel any bumps in the suspension. It's very peppy. It's such a nice, dignified little car. Large mirrors also, that is not less important, well to look conveniently, plus monitor of blind zones helps out, pleasant steering wheel here, it would be desirable, certainly buttons some interesting decision, but nevertheless quite well. What is interesting on service, here is carried out to, in my opinion, 3,000 kilometers, as run-in, then oil is changed here every 10,000, oil in a box is changed every 60 to 50,000, as it is a robot, oil is poured here, it's special, though, they say, there are analogs of other manufacturers. Candles are changed 30,000. As for maintenance, let's open the hatch to enjoy, so to speak, the fresh air in the city. There is such a protective net here. To be honest, I do not really like to drive with the sunroof open, but here it is quite interesting. At high speeds, even at 60, air vibration starts. I have to open a window, then the pressure equalizes, so a little bit beats on ears. But the rear passengers are delighted. The pedal is very sensitive, you have to press the throttle more carefully. I don't know if the microphone picks up that kind of air pulsation. But if you open the window a little bit, oh, not like that. I'll close it. Right, let's have a look at night driving now. How the car looks at night, how it lights up the road, and how it feels to drive. So, let's now see what the car looks like at night. Double-decker optics. You can see the parking lights now. These are the stripes. Side view. Now my favorite rear monobrow. It looks cool. Always stands out in the dark. And you can always see the lights. Let's see how the turn signals light up now. Turn the turn signals on. From the back, it looks like this. From the side. Front turn signals, as you can see, instead of the parking lights, the turn signal is turned on. Now we're going to turn on the front lights. I'll turn on the ignition. High beam, low beam. This is what dipped beam looks like. The dipped beam height, by the way, can be adjusted in the menu. That is not a wheel somewhere, but in the menu itself on the screen you have to adjust the height higher or lower, depending on the start. Let's see how the interior lighting is lit. We open the door. There's a little bit of illumination on one side, on the other. Because there's a panoramic roof, so there's a separate button for the backlight. On the sides, not in the center. In the center, there's a light in the driver's side. Closing the door. Now let's have a look at the driver's side. Open the door. This is the light. Turn the ignition on. The lights go out smoothly. Turn on the parking lights. This is such an interesting backlight here. You can change the color, you can change the brightness. Quite an interesting thing. Basically, nothing superfluous. It's a modest backlight. All the buttons are illuminated. At the back, as you can see, there's nothing extra. The instrument panel itself is quite laconic, but at the same time informative. Of course, I would like something cheerful and cheerful here, but you know, as it is solid and laconic, I would say. This is what this car looks like in the Sumovic. Here we go. So, let's now take a look at this car at night. I'm out on the ring road. This is the interior lighting. On the side, the blind spot monitoring. By the way, you can't see this control very well during the day. At night, in principle, it's fine. Here on a steering wheel there is an adjustment of brightness of the panel itself. Unusual, but why not? I was driving at night and was blinded by the light of headlights of near color. There is an adjustment here. You can adjust the height of the headlights. So you don't blind oncoming traffic. So also pay attention to the multimedia monitor, it's all adjustable, there's usually a little thing on the side somewhere. So as far as the light is concerned, of course the light here is brilliant. I'm going to go out on some dark tracks to see how it shines. So here I am out on the track, look how the road is lit up. Basically, that's the position I've adjusted it in. On the third position of the headlight adjustment, no light. I had it on 0, so it was beaming straight up into the ceiling. But somehow I saw by the position of the headlights, by the position of the light beam, that something was not quite right. Look, this is in the first position. I think the second one is the most optimal. The road is well lit, you can see the roadside, you can see the central part, that is, in principle, there are no questions about the color. In principle, if the panel gets in the way, you can always turn it off. It will be like this.